Let's see if we can ask Luigi who it is. You ready? Wait, it's moving. Is it somewhere between C and D? We'll make up a new letter to fit in there. Maybe it's CD's CDI V. Is that it?
I'll go with a V.
Yes, that's it. CDIV. So let's check it out. Hey, CDIV, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Are you CDIV?
No.
This thing doesn't work for crap. What's your name?
Listen, I was just trying to figure out what exactly you don't believe in.
Well, this for one.
It's really an odd situation. I'm kind of glad you brought it up. It's an odd situation because normally you wouldn't define yourself by what you don't believe in. And yet, one thing we're spending a lot of time talking about is that atheism is the lack of belief in a God or gods.
But you can't define what God is.
Well, that's not my job. See, the thing is that for any given definition of God that's been presented, I don't believe it. So, but I haven't heard them all. And if somebody has a new definition or explanation or idea about God, they're welcome to present it. And as long as they're able to convince me, then okay, I'll believe in your God. If you said, this piece of string was your God, well, it obviously exists, so I would believe in it. More important than I could list off all the things that I don't believe exist or don't believe are real, anything supernatural or anything like that.
But what is supernatural?
Anything beyond nature.
And that's defined through logic and reasoning?
Sure. If you can't provide reasonable, empirical, confirmable, falsifiable evidence in logical argument for what you're claiming, then there's no good reason to suppose that it exists. It's a way of saying we need to find out what's real and what's not real. Everybody agrees on that for the most part. So what tools are we going to use to try and determine what's real?
But you have to believe in your tools. You have to believe in logic.
Sure, you have to believe that science and logic are valuable tools for distinguishing fact from fantasy.
But logic can't prove everything.
Can't prove everything.
Like if I say, a very simple example, one that's easy to argue with, is if I say this sentence is false, if I say what I'm saying now is false,
right?
You can't prove that. It's unprovable. And one of the major axioms out of mathematics
that's a contradiction.
No logical system is both complete, explains everything, and self-consistent.
Are you a postmodernist?
No, I'm not a postmodernist.
So you do think that there are things that we can know and learn and identify.
If I were going to define myself, I'd call myself a scientist.
Okay.
And so that makes more sense to me than you saying you don't believe in something. If you said you were a scientist, I'd understand that. But I don't understand exactly what you're saying.
In the conventional sense, I don't go around calling myself a scientist because I tend to have a lot more respect than to toss that word around as a definition, as an explanation of myself. I am a proponent of science. I'm a proponent of, the scientific method, falsifying ideas. This idea of absolute knowledge, that you can't absolutely prove something or absolutely prove something false, isn't the important thing. What we're looking for is the best explanation, the most reasonable explanation that is consistent with evidence.
But there you come up against your imagination because we just can't think of everything.
Well, that doesn't matter.
We don't have enough knowledge.
It doesn't matter so much if you can imagine some other possibility. If I drop this pencil, did it fall because angels pulled it down? Or
what I'm trying to say is imagination is the only thing that brings us to new knowledge. If you can't use your imagination, then you're stuck in someone else's
Who said I can't use imagination?
I'm sorry?
Who said we can't use imagination? I'm just saying that you don't imagine an answer and say that it's therefore right. Of course.
No, that's exactly what you do. That's called a scientific hypothesis.
No.
No. A hypothesis is not proven yet.
A hypothesis isn't, this is the answer. I'm all in favor of using your imagination and your creativity to say what other possible answers are there. But then you actually have to go out and test that. If you just come up with an imaginary explanation and say, this is the answer, that is not a good way of determining fact from fantasy.
Do you recall? There was a theorem in mathematics called Fermat's last.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
If he hadn't hypothesized that, it's possible that no one would have asked the question, at least not at the time that he had, and led to further knowledge.
Sure.
So while I agree with you that there are a lot of crackpot ideas out there,
yes,
I think you still need imagination.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you don't believe something until there's sufficient evidence to justify that belief. Somebody can hypothesize about alien life on another planet, but that doesn't, and it's true. If there is some other life on another planet right now, it is absolutely true right now, but we have no way of knowing that. And until we have sufficient evidence, then there's not justification to believe it. And therefore, I would be wrong to believe that there's life on another planet right now.
But I also think you're wrong to believe in the tools that we currently have.
What better tool is there?
Additional tools will...
What better tool is there than the scientific method? You called yourself a scientist. What better tool than science?
There is no better tool. But,
there you go.
But
so these tools have been proven.
Currently sufficient? Is our mathematics sufficient?
It's not absolutely sufficient. I will grant you that. However, it is the best thing that we currently have, and it has been proven time and time and time again that while it may not be perfect, it's pretty good at determining the real world and what's actually happening. So yes, is it perfect? No. Is it really freaking good? Yes.
I mean,
and so until we come up with something better, why not keep going with that?
Just keep in mind that most of the time, the things people come up with are entirely wrong.
Yeah.
That's true. And it's science that shows that.
Most ideas are entirely wrong. And you just have to face the reality that there are a lot of things we're not going to know for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's nothing, you can't dampen the human spirit by saying you cannot come up with something that's out there. Because a lot of things, a lot of new ideas
you keep making accusations,
turn into something real.
Hang on. You keep saying things that we completely agree with, and yet you keep accusing us of things that we don't do. Well, we're not here dampening imagination.
The reason I called is because earlier you called some people morons.
Sure.
I really think that's the wrong attitude.
Well,
but
if there were people running around, just to play along for a second, if there were people running around advocating that Santa Claus was real and that we needed to make new laws based on the orders that they got from Santa Claus, don't you think they're morons?
We're very young.
Okay, they're adults. Let me add that qualifier. Are they morons now?
Well, maybe they need some analysis or something.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Can you imagine the mentality of a child that still exists in an adult?
Yes, it's called religious.
Those people
who are still clinging to their invisible friends, those people who are buying into hypotheses, religious hypotheses that can't be falsified, that have no evidence to support them, and they are basing their life decisions around them, and they are imposing those beliefs upon other people, trying to make other people's life decisions based on their own beliefs. That is asinine, and you're a moron to buy into that. I'm not trying to be insulting by that. I was being humorous earlier, but it is unwise to believe in something until there's sufficient justification. And you, as somebody who advocates science and the scientific method, would you believe in something before there was evidence to justify it?
Well, I believe there are a lot of human things that are explainable. I think some people with interesting ideas like that, they could have a mental health issue.
Sure.
So, you need to be a little bit philosophical.
Okay. A little bit? So 80% of the population of the United States is Christian. Are you really trying to write all that off as 80% of the people need
Well, they might
health?
Be making they're switching cause and effect there, and they're saying because these ideas are good, the religion must be true. Whereas, really deep down, they believe the ideas, goodness between people and,
Sure.
all the good things that a lot of religious people advocate.
Okay. But,
But you can't call them moron. You just need to
I
call
can
them
if I want
somewhat
to.
ignorant.
You might not think it's the best thing, and I'll agree, it's not the best. I don't come on the show specifically to do name calling, and I've spent a great deal of time on various shows making specific points about specific issues, going into great detail about the history of the biblical canon, or talking about the scientific method. We've gone into great detail on these things over and over and over again. But at some point, when, you can have a reasonable discussion with somebody, and if they're still going to stay unreasonable, then you have to call a spade a spade. Maybe if you I don't know, you call in and you make all these accusations about what we're doing that we're not doing. We're not trying to kill the human spirit or imagination. I'm an advocate of science in the same way that you are. And I'm an advocate of human spirit and imagination and creativity in the same way that you are. So apart from the fact that you're having a knee-jerk reaction to the name, to the label atheist, which, by the way, is exactly why we're here, to eliminate that knee-jerk reaction.
But
because
you're really
atheism...
You're limiting yourself. Anyway, have a good one.
Okay, I'm limiting myself.
3 out of 4 people now believe in angels. What are you, fucking stupid? Huh? Has everybody lost their fucking mind in this country?